The Boston Bruins have the opportunity to draft a potential franchise player in either Taylor Hall or Tyler Seguin. They hold the number 2 pick overall in the NHL Draft. I'm here with the Executive Director of College Hockey Incorporated, Paul Kelly. Now, Paul, I want to ask you, regardless of what Edmonton does, who is a better fit for the Boston Bruins?
Well, probably Hall is the better fit only because they have several talented centers, and he's a proven commodity. It doesn't hurt that he's represented by Bobby Orr, obvious links to Boston. So, I mean, in a perfect world, if the Bruins had their choice, I think Hall would be the better fit. That said, they're going to get a phenomenal player with whichever of these two kids they get, because the Tyler Seguin kid is an impressive young guy.
And what does Hall bring to the table if the Bruins do get the chance to draft him?
Incredible speed, great hands. He's a proven commodity. He's won at every level. He's a young guy, but he's won 2 back-to-back Memorial Cups. He's done exceptionally well on the international stage. He is a tough guy. He's demonstrated that he can take a hit and then bounce right back. If you've seen some of the clips of the Memorial Tournament games, I mean, he was crushed a couple of times into the boards, and the kid, to his credit, bounced right back up and then scored within minutes later. So he's tough. He's very athletic. He's a good-sized kid. He's over 6 feet. Fairly well developed. So he has tremendous skills. I mean, he's one of these kids. There's only a handful of guys each year that have the ability at age 18 or 19 to step into the National Hockey League. Stave Stamkos recently, Johnny Tavares, Matt Duchene. He is in that category. He will step in and, I believe, be an impact player in the first year.
If Edmonton surprises people and takes Hall with the first pick overall, what would Seguin bring to the Bruins if he's the pick?
Seguin, I had not seen the kid until I was at the NHL Combine recently, and I had not only had an opportunity to watch him work out, but then I had a chance to speak with him for about 10 minutes afterwards. First of all, in terms of the workout, I mean, he is an incredible athletic specimen. The kid he's big, he's strong, he's fit. He impressed the scouts tremendously with his performance in all of the stations there at the Combine. But beyond that, he is a bright guy, well-spoken, incredibly well-mannered, just an impressive human being who I think would bring a real degree of just not a tremendous on-ice performance, but real class as a player to the organization. You can't go wrong with a kid like Tyler Seguin. That said, I think Edmonton probably is leaning towards Hall, probably because he's the premier pick. He's the bigger name in Canada, probably sells more tickets, not that they need to sell tickets in Edmonton. He's probably the safer pick for the Edmonton Oilers. I think the Bruins would be, they're going to be pleased with whichever of these two young men they get. I think they'd be thrilled if the Seguin kid was picked by Edmonton and they had a chance for Taylor Hall, because, again, he's a winger, where Seguin is a center, and they have a great number of centers already. If they do pick the Seguin kid, somehow, somewhere, they're going to have to turn somebody from a center into a wing.
Would that person possibly be Seguin? Does he have the ability to move from center to wing?
I think no question. I mean, I've gone back and seen him play and played some of the tapes. Yeah, he's a young guy. He's an athletic guy. I don't think there's any doubt. I think he could move to either wing. I think he could probably play defense. I mean, he's a solid player with strong on his feet. And in the NHL game, that's what a lot of people don't know, that being strong on your skates is just so critical. Not being an easy guy to bump off the puck, to move off the puck, who shies away from checks and the like, who can go into the corners and into the boards, which is what you're looking for in a winger, a Cam Neely type, who can be intimidating to defensemen and other wingers when he comes crashing down the boards to get the puck out into the slot area. So I think the Seguin kid, he's not as big as Cam Neely was, but he's big, he's strong, he was impressive, and again, I think the Bruins will be tickled with either of these players.
Now, I don't think you're being completely serious about switching Seguin to defense. But in regards to Seguin and Hall, are these guys both willing to play defense? Because the Bruins already traded away Phil Kessel because he wouldn't do the dirty work, he wouldn't play defense, he wouldn't hit. Are these two kids willing to do that?
You know what? I don't know them well enough. I mean, I think that's a coach's job, frankly, to instill in a young player the system that they want them to play in. I mean, I don't know that either of these young guys have been forced to play a lot of defense on the teams that they've been playing for the past couple of years. I mean, they've been on solid teams that had good defensemen, and really what those coaches and teams wanted out of those guys was scoring and offense, and that's what they focused on. So that may be a shortcoming coming into the NHL, but again, with Claude Julien, that's his job to dictate to whichever of these players they're fortunate enough to get how he wants him to play the game. And if they want them to back check and they want them to be aggressive in their own end, I have no doubt that either of these kids certainly have the skills to do that.
Now, the Bruins not only have the second pick overall, but they also have the 17th. Any idea in what direction they can go in, or should they just go for the best player available?
The Bruins do have a couple of needs. I mean, I think they need to strengthen up the defensive end. I mean, they're clearly solid through the center position. They can use some help on the wings. Again, the first pick will help them there. They've got some tremendous young kids that they've drafted in recent years coming up the ranks, with Jordan Caron, who was drafted last year, and Joe Colborne, who was drafted in the first round 2 years ago, and Zach Hamill, who was drafted, I believe, 3 years ago. So they've got some young talent coming up. But they haven't really drafted much in the way of defense in recent years. And, Chara is, I believe, heading into the final year of his contract. They've got a couple of guys on defense like Johnny Boychuk, who was not signed yet, Mark Stewart, who I believe would also need to be signed. I think they could use some help on defense. So I think what they'll look for with the second pick is the best athlete at the defensive position who's available.
All right. Well, we know that the Bruins have reached the second round of the playoffs for the past 2 years. Maybe with these 2 draft picks, they may be able to advance further in the years to come. For Paul Kelly, I'm Randolph Charlton. Thank you.